Well, it is a good rule to live by. Too much of anything is usually not good for you. And a new study by the American College of Cardiology suggests that holds true with caffeine. The study focuses in on how much of the stimulant is too much and what overdoing it can do to your body. Dr. Vivek Goswami is a cardiologist at Heart Hospital of Austin. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
First off, if you're going to tell me to stop drinking coffee, I'm going to have to throw you right out of here. We can't handle that.
Not going to do that.
Okay, so they really aren't saying that you shouldn't drink coffee in this study, but they are kind of focusing in, as we said, on how much is too much. So the question is, how much caffeine is too much for you?
Yeah, that's right. So, first of all, we're talking about the most widely used stimulant in the world, right? 90% of Americans routinely use caffeine. And for the way that most Americans use caffeine, it's perfectly safe. And actually, there's some studies that show it's actually beneficial. The FDA, the US FDA, currently recommends that we keep our daily caffeine intake to less than 400 milligrams, right? So that would be equivalent to about 4 cups of coffee, 10 colas.
That's a lot of cola, too.
Or 2 energy drinks. So these energy drinks tend to have up to 200 milligrams per drink. So this recent study that's being presented at the American College of Cardiology in India looked at otherwise healthy individuals who are routinely ingesting more than 400 milligrams of caffeine on a daily basis, 5 out of 7 days a week. And what they concluded was that these individuals were at increased risk of cardiovascular disease, and the mechanism being that these individuals are found to have an elevation in their heart rate and a sustained elevation of their blood pressure. So the suggestion with this study is that really high levels of consistent caffeine can increase an individual's cardiovascular risk.
Break down for us in layman's terms.
Sure.
What is it that too much caffeine does to your system that it makes it bad for your cardiovascular health?
Yeah, so again, based on this study, they noted that the heart rate was increased because it is a stimulant, and as a result, routine measurement of the blood pressure was consistently elevated. And we know blood pressure correlates to heart disease. So that was the mechanistic association there. Of course, there's limitations with any type of observational study, right? What we don't know is if these individuals suffered from some type of sleep apnea, weren't getting enough sleep, they're fatigued, and that was prompting more caffeine use. So in actuality, the untreated sleep apnea is causing the high blood pressure. So we don't know if it's causal or not, but certainly there was a sustained increase in blood pressure in these individuals.
What I also found interesting is that it really kind of pinpoints a certain demographic of the population that is more susceptible to drinking too much caffeine and being at risk.
That's right. And these were otherwise healthy individuals, and as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of studies that suggest that taking caffeine routinely in moderation is healthy. It can actually reduce your risk of heart disease, reduce your risk of stroke, reduce your risk of colon cancer, reduce your risk of dementia, and even have beneficial effects on your liver. I think in really, really high doses, greater than 400 milligrams, it could potentially be detrimental to your cardiovascular health. But the body has really special ways of telling us that maybe we're overdoing it, on caffeine. So oftentimes individuals who are really taking more than they should will feel a sense of palpitations, or their heart rate is elevated. There could be irritability, there could be insomnia, there could be an increased frequency of urination because it does have a diuretic effect. There could be headaches and nausea. So I think if individuals are routinely listening to their body, they could really avoid getting into that area where we're really taking too much caffeine. But by no means is this study suggesting that caffeine in moderation, which is how most Americans use caffeine, is necessarily detrimental or we need to stop.
Yeah, and a lot of it too, I would think, would have to do with like your body weight, your height, things like
That's
that,
right.
how much is too much, but that's just kind of a general rule. But I like what you said about listen to your body. If you're feeling the jitters and if all these other things are happening, you probably know before anyone else will ever know you're drinking too much.
That's exactly right. And of course, there's tolerance as well. So the more caffeine you drink over a longer period of time, the more you're able to drink. But we routinely get patients that come in and tell us, hey doc, I'm real healthy. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink caffeine. Those are completely separate conversations to us. I mean, smoking, which increases your risk of heart disease, cancer, and stroke, caffeine arguably helps those things. So I don't put those in the same sentence at all.
Okay, I like where you're coming from. I don't have to stop drinking my coffee.
Yeah, we don't need to be finger wagging our patients to
right.
stop the caffeine. Yep.
Dr. Vivek Goswami, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.